So we definitely know that great readers underline or take notes to help themselves remember important information when they're reading those nonfiction texts. But just in case we didn't remember, Clay Thompson's here to let us know. Now, today, we get to start reading the next chapter of our War of 1812 reader together. And we're going to do it while writing down important information to help ourselves better remember what's going on in our nonfiction text. So, I'm going to take notes up here, but you know what you need to do. Go get that pen and paper. You go get it right now. So we're going to have a quiz, and your notes are going to come super duper in handy for that quiz. Because at the end of each page, we're going to stop and we're going to ask ourselves this super important question. What important information did I just learn? And then I'm going to write it down, and you're going to write it down too. Got your pencil and paper? Track the words as I read. Chapter 7, The Attack on Baltimore. Washington, D.C. took 10 years to construct. It took less than 1 day to destroy it. Next, the British planned to attack Baltimore. Baltimore was a big city north of Washington, D.C. At the same time, it was the third largest city in the United States. It was also a key port. Now we remember port means it was on the water and ships could come in and out to do trades. Now we see a picture and a caption. Let's read the caption together. Say it with me. Baltimore was a big city and a key port north of Washington, D.C. Oh, we just got to the end of a page. Time to ask ourselves the important question. Now, I know this page was talking about a city called Baltimore. Why are we learning about Baltimore? Oh, why was that? Let me hear you. Yeah, the British planned to attack Baltimore next. And we know that Baltimore was a big port city. Let's write that down. Put it on your paper. Let me see. Okay. Flip the page. Track the words as I read. Baltimore was protected from naval attack by a large fort. It was called Fort McHenry. The British focused on Fort McHenry. They hoped that if they could take the fort, they could take the city. They planned to attack the fort by land and also by sea. The people of the city were aware an attack was coming. They got ready. They piled up supplies. They set up walls. They even sank ships into the harbor or the water right around them to keep the British ships from getting too close to the city. All of the people in the city pitched in. Even the children helped. Wow, so they sank ships so that actually they couldn't move through the water. They would run into the sunken ships. So interesting. But I see a picture and a caption. Let's read the caption together. Fort McHenry as it looks today. So we just got to the end of a page. What important information did we learn? Well, this page started telling me about a place called Fort McHenry. Why is Fort McHenry important? Tell me, why? Oh, I see you going back to your text. Great job. So yeah, the people of Baltimore got supplies, they set up walls, and they sunk ships to keep those British ships from getting close to Fort McHenry. So we know it was important because the British were coming and the Americans were protecting it. Write that down on your paper. We know great readers take those notes. Way to go. Let's keep going. Track the words as I read. A year earlier, the soldiers in Fort McHenry felt like they needed a flag they could fly over the fort. They asked a local woman named Mary Pickersgill to make a flag. Make it big, they told her. Make it so big that the British will be able to see it from miles away. The U.S. flag is covered with stars and stripes. Today, the U.S. flag has 50 stars and 13 stripes. Each star stands for one of the 50 states of the United States. Each stripe stands for one of the 13 original colonies. Sometimes America's flag is referred to as the Stars and Stripes. Let's look at this picture and let's read this caption. The U.S. flag today. Wow. This page told us about a flag, but what was important about the flag on this page? I'm going to go back to that first paragraph and look. Yeah. So the U.S. soldiers asked this woman, Mary Pickersgill, to make a big flag to fly over the fort. Great job. Let's keep reading. Make sure you write it down. Okay. Track as I read. The flag that Mary Pickersgill made for Fort McHenry was different. It had 15 stars and 15 stripes. The Fort McHenry flag was different in another way too. It was huge. Each star was 2 feet across. Each stripe was 2 feet tall and 42 feet long. Wow, we remember a foot is about right here. And each star was 2 feet across. Whoa, can you imagine how big that flag was? Let's keep reading. Mrs. Pickersgill could not do all the stitching herself. The flag was too big. She needed help. She got her daughter to help her, but she still needed more help. She had her servants help her with the stitching. Still, she needed more help. She sent for 2 of her nieces. That did the trick. She and her 5 helpers stitched day and night until the flag was finished. When it was done, the flag was as large as a house. It was hung on a giant pole over the fort. You could see it from miles away. Let's look at our photograph. Ready? Read the caption with me. A year earlier, the soldiers at Fort McHenry asked Mary Pickersgill to make a flag to fly over the fort. Wow, you see that little soldier in the picture? In front of that flag, what a big flag. But we're at the end of the page and we just read a lot of text. So what important information did we learn about the flag that Mary Pickersgill was making? Yeah, I agree. This flag was huge, but it was actually different than the flag that we see now. It had 15 stars instead of those 50 stars like our flag has today. And we know that those 50 stars are for the 50 states in the United States. Make sure you write this down. Flip the page. All right, track as I read. The British arrived later in the week. They sent troops to attack the city. But this time, the U.S. soldiers were ready. They stopped the British army. The British commander was killed during the attack. The British went back to their ships. They decided to attack Fort McHenry with their navy instead. Let's check this picture and caption out. Ready? Read the caption with me. A flag like Mary Pickersgill's flag flying at Fort McHenry. Wow, we just got to the end of our chapter, but we're also at the end of a page. So, what important information did we learn on this page? It talks about when the British arrived in Baltimore. So what important things happened when they arrived? Let me hear. Yeah, the U.S. soldiers were ready, and they stopped the British Army when they arrived. Nice work. Write down that last note. Let me see it. Okay. So, you just finished chapter 7, and now it's time to use your notes to show what you know. Make sure, as you go to the next slide in your quiz, that you read every question twice, because we want to be sure that we know actually what is it asking me. Then go back to those notes that you took because you're an all-star reader and find that evidence to prove your answer correct. Finally, select the answer that matches your notes. You got this, second grade.